In this video, we're going to upload images to an instruction record so that they can be used when listing the property. Prior to uploading your images to NetSuite, you need to prepare them on a PC or Mac. Rightmove has restrictions on the maximum size of the images it will handle, and also guidance about the minimum image size to ensure your listing looks good. These guidelines will work equally well for your own website and any of the other portals. So let's start by looking at the guidelines. Firstly, make sure you store your files in the right format. These are very common formats, so you really shouldn't fall foul of this one. Secondly, image size. It's likely that you will need to reduce the size of the property images if they are taken on a reasonably new digital camera. We'll take a look at one simple method of doing this in a moment, but there is lots of software that will allow you to do this, and most of them will offer many other features besides. Finally, floor plans. These can be of a higher density, with the size of the floor plan affecting the functions that you can perform when viewing the Rightmove site. So based on these guidelines, let's look at how to check the size and then resize one of our images. In this example, I'm using a Windows PC and standard MS Paint, a free tool supplied with Windows. I've saved a number of images to a folder on my desktop. Currently, these images have meaningless names, and if we look at the file sizes, at least one of them is probably far too big. I'd recommend you rename the files early in the process and follow a naming convention like property address and room so that they're much more meaningful and unique when you come to use them later. If, when you open the folder, you just have file names, use the View option and select Large Icons. Then it's very easy to click on each image, right-click, rename, and then type in the name of the property and the view. Now that I've renamed all of my images, let's deal with any that are too large. Go back to the details. First of all, I'm going to open one of the smaller images, and we can see at the bottom that it tells me the size in pixels. This one is just above the minimum of 640 by 414. Now let's take a look at one that is oversized. To modify this image size, select Resize, choose Pixels, and ensure that the Maintain Aspect box is still ticked. Then, on the longest aspect, the one with the highest number, type in 1024, which is the maximum allowable size in Rightmove. Once you've done this, just say OK and save. Now that we've resized and renamed our images, we can go back to NetSuite and start to upload our images. Before you start uploading images, I'd recommend you go to your filing cabinet and create a folder to store your property images in. You can have one folder for everything, or create subfolders within your property folder for property images, another for EPC and floor plans, and perhaps another subfolder for money laundering and legal. Again, I'd recommend using the first line of the property address as the folder name. You can, of course, add the images individually to the instruction, but in this video, we're going to add them to the property folder first and then go to the instruction. Once you're in the property folder, use the Add File option and just double-click on each image. And just repeat the process for all of your images. Once you've uploaded all of your property images to the filing cabinet, you need to go and edit each one. The quickest way of doing this is to right-click on Edit and use the Open link in New tab. This will open up a new browser tab at the top. So I can repeat this process and open them all up like this. When we go into each image, we need to make sure that we tick this box over here called Available Without Login. Unless this box is ticked, your images will not display on the portals. Once that task is completed, all of your preparation work is done and we can go to the instruction. In the instruction, go to the Images subtab. The subtab has 4 sections: Property EPC, Property Images, Property Brochure, and Property Floor Plan. The process for uploading images to each of these is the same, but they're stored in specific places so they appear in the right place on the listing in the portal. To upload images, first make a note of the property number on the instruction record. Now, to start uploading images, click on Property Image, New Property Image. First, you need to add the property number. Then, find the image that you want to add. Because of our preparation work, it's now easy to find the property images by typing in the first line of the property address. Just click on the image that you want to upload and move on to the image description. The image description is the description that will be displayed on the portals. Over on the right-hand side, there are 2 fields of note. The sort order determines what order the pictures appear in on the portals. Without a sort order, you don't have control over how they will appear, and they may appear in a different order to the sequence in which they were uploaded. Some agents like to switch the landing picture on the listing occasionally to refresh the marketing, and having a sort order allows you to do this easily. The images will appear in a sequence order with the lowest number first and the highest sort order number last. If you number them, say 1 to 8 sequentially, any later resorting may require you to change 2 or possibly all of the sort order numbers. I'd recommend starting by numbering them with even numbers, 2, 4, 6, and so forth. This gives you greater flexibility to move just one to the front of the list later without making lots of changes. Secondly, the Display on Portals option should not be confused with the earlier Available Without Login option. The Display on Portals option should always be ticked when you are first adding images to the listing. If, once the listing is up on the portals, you just want to quickly take down one of the images, unticking this box will remove it from the listing. Once you've completed adding images to the instruction, you can now go back to the image summary page and review your work. You need to check a number of things before saving the instruction. Firstly, check that the property ID is correct on all of your images. Second, check that you're happy with the sort order, and then check that the display in portals is set to yes on each of the images you want to display. You then need to check that you're happy with the image description. Don't use any characters such as ampersands or @ signs. We've noticed that the integration with the portals can sometimes cause errors unless you just stick to numbers and letters. Finally, make sure that each image has a URL. If it doesn't, go and edit the image and save it again. Having made these checks, if you're still having issues with your images displaying on the portals, remember the following. Firstly, Rightmove rejects large files. For best results, stick to the maximum of 1024 pixels on the longest aspect. Secondly, check that each image is set to Available without login. Without this, the images will not display on the portals. And remember, if you leave gaps in the sort order, you can easily refresh your listing at a later date. And finally, if you want to remove an image quickly without deleting it from NetSuite, you can use the Display on Portals checkbox on the Instruction Images record.